So we've just watched The Chosen, and we've watched the miracle of the fish. And I'm just going to bring out a few points on the miracle of the fish. The first thing I wanted to think about was they'd been working all night and caught nothing. I think God honours those who put in the effort, who are shown to be working, not just lazing around and waiting for God to come. They'd been working all night and caught nothing. The point there is they were caught doing the very thing that they were expected to be doing. I always remember Heather learning the Indian language before she was called as a missionary out there. You don't just sit around and wait for God. You do your work. And God can bless that. God can find you in that place. They'd been working all night and they were disappointed. How often are we disappointed? Maybe in our spiritual lives, we're praying for someone, we're talking to someone at work. That's when Jesus can turn up. They were washing their nets, doing nothing, sorry, I'm losing my proper speech. Doing nothing doesn't attract God's attention. Another point, Jesus cares about your work. Fishermen with no fish. If they can't sell at the market, then they've got no money for food for their family. They've got no money for rent or for all the bits and pieces they need. Fishermen with no fish. And Jesus cares about the community as well. The fish doesn't just feed the fishermen. They take it to the market. It feeds the community. Jesus is interested in the community, to provide for the community. This one catch of fish blessed so many. In its just very practicalness, without the amazingness of it all. He cares about the fish and chip shop. Lots of fish to sell. Feeds your community. And he loves to have fun. Have you ever thought what fun Jesus had? He must have had so much fun with all the different miracles that he did. You know, someone turns up with no hand. You know, imagine watching fingers forming, hands forming, and the transformation that brings just in that one healing. Just imagine it for 5 minutes, just what it would actually bring to that person who couldn't do different things, who had no sight so they couldn't work. What it meant to the family. They didn't have the infrastructure that we've got where if you don't work you get paid anyway. Imagine that. The father of your father being able to work finally, which meant you could have food. Because he had his hand given back. All the different miracles that Jesus performed. They were just beautiful. And it portrays just a little bit of excitement and joy that Jesus had just from watching these fishermen who were the experts. And there's Jesus who was a carpenter, if anything. And there he was catching fish for fishermen. And the sort of the cynical look of, oh yeah, try this. Yeah, been doing it all night, and they were shattered. And then the abundance, probably a catch that they've never had before. When Jesus is involved, the catch is so much better. It's so fun to be around Jesus. So fun to be around Jesus. And just bringing it into a bit of a today's life. I don't know about you, but the future looks uncertain. The future looks a bit scary. Financially, what's going to happen? We've got our electric contract finishing. They won't even quote for us. It's scary, isn't it? And we can focus on that. And we can get overwhelmed by that. But we want to walk in faith, not fear. We want to walk with the future in Jesus' hands. And this is the Jesus we serve. The one that wants to give fishermen his fish. The one that wants to give accountants their customers. We can look to Jesus for any of our jobs that if we're lacking, we can say, I've worked and I've got nothing. Jesus, will you provide? He's there. He's wanting to provide. Do you realise Peter didn't even ask. He didn't ask for the miracle. He didn't ask for the miracle. Jesus saw the need and he wanted them to be his followers. And so what happened? Jesus said, put your nets out into the deep. Luke 5, if you want to read the story. He didn't even ask. Put your life in the hands of a loving Father and see what happens. Trust him. When he impresses, we confess. Watching that scene, I've watched that scene so many times of when Peter bows before him and confesses he's Lord. Something happens, doesn't it, when God does a miracle in your life, when something that you thought could never happen, and it happens. There's just something deep inside that is more than gratefulness. There's an acknowledgement that he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. He impressed, we confess. The shock of provision, the shock of healing. Give glory to God. Give glory to God. Give glory to God. God is no man's debtor. Betty said it last night and I thought that's my notes for tomorrow. God is no man's debtor. He gives abundantly. When Jesus reveals himself, the revelation of who he really is, we're undone. We're completely undone. We can live our Christian life in the very practical, very normal way and just go through life, read our Bibles, say our prayers. But when Jesus meets us face to face, we're undone, completely undone. We're wrecked. And I was thinking about, I haven't actually watched it, but there's a programme where a lady comes into your house and you have to take everything out and then only what you really need goes back in. Has anyone watched a programme? Yeah? Yeah. Well, I just thought about that in our own lives, that maybe it'd be good to unpack our lives and just see what we really need. What we really need in our lives and just to unpack ourselves. And you start realising how much we do, how much we think about, and how much we just have to serve, if you like, because it's in our life and actually we don't need it. Unpack our lives and see what God's calling you to leave outside. The revelation of who Jesus is, how good he is, how kind he is, how gentle he is, how loving he is. People have such a wrong concept of who Jesus is. They see religion, they see just what's in front of them. But when you start seeing Jesus performing miracles and what it means, all the different points behind these stories, to see how it impacts people's lives, it's so, so exciting. And the holiest of holy, the King of Kings, came to have some fun with us, to reconnect with us, to call us, to give us a future, to call us into his path. Follow me, he says, follow me. It didn't come cheap, but I got it for free. The lines of one of the Hillsongs. It didn't come cheap, it cost Jesus everything. He had to leave the Father, leave his throne room, come onto this earth, have some fun, but then he had to die. But we get it for free. But we have to give everything too.